advertising have changed a lot from the book to where we are right now? Technology, right? What's that?
Different ways to persuade.
Okay, so mainly this thing that they're talking about here is if you would buy an article or a page maybe, or a section of a page in the newspaper or a magazine. Now, obviously, we can still do that, right? But today's day and age, you would probably go the avenue of what? Making a video for what?
For your product or something.
Okay, but where would you then
Commercial, TV.
put it on? Okay, so you might have your own website. What else?
TikTok.
Facebook, TikTok,
Instagram.
Instagram, right? So it's just a different, it's the same product, but we're probably actually getting it out to a way broader sense, right? And we're probably getting it out to different, what do we want to say, demographics and age groups, right? If you guys use TikTok and Instagram, you're probably going to get a lot younger generation. Facebook might have a little older generation, right? Just because of the people that use it. And then, you know, people would still say, well, I would still want to put it in the newspaper, but maybe I only run my ad in the newspaper when?
Black Friday.
Okay, maybe on a specific holiday, or maybe just on Sundays, because a lot more people just might get the Sunday paper instead of having that weekly circulation now. So they're going to pinpoint exactly when they want to do it and how many times they want to do it. But that's where the expense would have came into, and that's kind of what we're going to look at. Now, going on to TikTok and those kind of things, you probably just need your own address, right? And you would have an address for your company, or maybe you still do it through your own account, but you're still broadcasting for a specific reason. Maybe it's for your company or who you do it with. Dylan could use his stuff and he can put out stuff for the parlor, but it's probably, he's going to reach his friends more than the overall fan base, right? So it could still be used as an individual thing, but it could also be used as a business thing, right? So they go through the process of just looking at what they call print ads. And when we're talking about a print ads, we're still thinking about our target audience. So again, this might be, you might run more of these kind of things if you're looking for maybe employment, right? Things that you might change from week to week. You know, maybe you're trying to sell your house. Maybe you're trying to sell your motor that you just built that was sitting in the middle of your living room for the past month.
I keep that.
Oh yeah, that was his main thing.
It would run my whole house.
And he's, yeah, okay.
It's just down there.
So, then we're gonna have general display ads. So in a old school magazine, when you went to the doctor's office, this is where you had the decision, okay? Do I wanna buy a whole page, or do I wanna just have a little section in the corner, right? The full page would cost you a heck of a lot more than the one in the corner, okay? But the full page is probably a little eye-opener. It's probably showing that you're trying to go all out. Then the other thing you got to think about is, if you notice here on the bottom of page 457, your advertising rate, notice you could have different sizes of the page, and then on the bottom, you could have 4 colors versus 2 colors, and then way on the bottom was the inside cover. Well, if you sprung for the inside cover, you really wanted to get that whatever out there. Okay, so what circumstances would you say you might want to spring for the inside cover?
What does it mean by inside cover?
Well, so like when you first open the magazine, the inside cover would be a full page, and it's probably a really big advertisement, poster type thing.
When the first iPhone came out.
Okay, so when you want,
Different colors.
you think it's a hot item, right?
A lot of different colors.
Okay, if you want something that's really going to throw out, but what circumstances would you?
Buy one, get
If
one
it is the
free.
very first one, if you had some huge, okay, sale,
Buy one, get
maybe you just open your company. Now, I know that might be a big expense for you, but it could be worth it, right? if you want that to hit the market, you know, and especially if you had a really unique idea and you think that your company's gonna be the only ones that have it, at least for a little while, till everybody else catches up, you might spend the extra money and hope that it generates the profits, okay? Maybe a going out of business sale. That might be something that you might spring for just so you get all your stuff out of there, okay? So then we talk about the additive cost by the column inch, and if you look up at the top, you're going to take your column inches times the cost per inch and then times the number of columns of width. So you can do this in a couple different ways. And notice then they would have prices for this, like on the bottom little, what color is this now?
Blue.
This is just blue, okay. In this little bluish chart, they would have specific prices. Notice 1 times, 3 times, 5 times, 12 times. That means how many times am I going to sell it or have it in there, right? So a lot of the old magazines, you only got it once a month. You know, even back in the day, Sports Illustrated started out where you only got it once a month, or Sporting News, or those kind of magazines, ESPN. And so if you notice, the more times that you get it, then what? The cheaper it actually is, right? Because you're gonna pay for that that many times, but they give you a discount. So if you're only gonna run it one time, they're gonna charge you $3,000 for that. But if you wanna do it every single month, then they're only gonna charge you $2,500 per month, okay? So you're going to be asked to figure that out, and then how big your page is, meaning do you want a full page or just part of the page, okay? Other ads that we could run, we already said. So the newer version or your age would go into the social media that you already said. Maybe we have a Twitter account too to get it out there. Maybe we have, what else? Anything else that we hadn't said so far? Radio you could still do. Reddit, okay. So you could do whatever kind of social media that you want that you're going to think that you could do. Obviously, then some of the other ones that probably are least or going out of kind of business right now would be direct mail. You know, that would actually be a kind of a tough thing to do sometimes, because how many of you, well, you guys probably don't do this right now, but how many of you see your parents, you know, just look through it and go, yeah, and that's just getting chucked, right? And they're not even looking at that. But every once in a while, it could catch somebody's eye, right? Billboards, obviously, depending on where you're at, and again, if you want to put the money into it. If you're around bigger cities, maybe, you know, as you're driving through Sioux City or Omaha, you'd see a little bit more of that than, you know, around here. And then obviously the internet, you know, some ways of getting it to the internet. So they're going to ask you how much you're going to have that ad run for, and then the number of times that you're going to run it. And again, like on the radio, maybe like Yaz said, before Thanksgiving for Black Friday and those kind of things, we start really hammering it. So we pay for it a couple different times. You know, you think about the Super Bowl, right? All those people that are doing commercials for the Super Bowl are paying mega bucks, right? Because they really know that there's going to be a lot of people watching TV at those times. But they might not do a whole lot of other commercials besides the Super Bowl. So they're kind of saving up their advertising budget for that particular time, okay? And then the last thing I think they talk about in this section is the cost per person reach. So again, reach just means how many people are going to hear about it. What is if I'm doing it on the radio, what station am I using and how far does that broadcast? So how far can I actually make that, you know, heard? If I'm doing, you know, the internet stuff is a lot different, right? Because now, obviously, we can do a lot of things on the internet where we can spread it to multi-portions of the world, and we don't have to do a real thing, right? We can just stick it out on whatever it is, TikTok or Instagram. When they talk about the totals that of the readers or subscribers, you can break it down into different areas. So again, the reach, they're talking about the number of subscribers, the number of readers, the number of listeners, the number of households in a specific area. So you can do it however you really want to break it down. Okay, do you want to try to figure out how many times your website is clicked on? Okay, do you want to figure out how many times that somebody just actually is listening to that radio station or watches that TV channel? Okay, if you're like me, anytime a commercial comes on, I try to find something else, right? So you got to think about those kind of people too. How do you get it to me, right? So they're going to ask you what's the cost of person reach. So it's basically the ads cost divided by the number of people that you think or your people calculated that you're reaching. And so then basically you would find out how much is that costing you and is it worth your time and efforts. Okay? So then maybe says, okay, I only want to do it not once a month, but every other month or every other week or whatever it happens to be. But you would then kind of zone in on your particular areas that you wanted. And then you would, you can also do this. If Carson's running some company for his farm machinery or something like that, and he's had his advertisements, he's probably not going to send this to Chicago a whole lot, right? He's going to send it to the small towns. He's going to send it to the communities that focus around agriculture and that kind of thing, okay? So we're just talking about the number of people. So let's look at a couple of these because some of the calculations do get a little kind of weird. So turn to page 458, we'll look at letter A. Your local newspaper charges $135 a column inch for a 1-column width general ad. What would you pay for an ad that is 3 column inches long and 2 column inches wide? So, what do I got to do on this one? Notice if you go back to page 457, my ad cost formula is right, about a third of the way down. The column inches times the cost per inch times the number of column width. So what calculation are we going to do? In this, your column or 3 column inches long and 2 column widths are just your columns. So you're taking 3 times 2 there, and then you're going to multiply it by the 135. Make sense? So the first one, we're going to spend $810. Right? So it seems like a lot, right? But then you got to think about, okay, how much is that going to generate for us? All right? In letter B, this is where you're going to go back and use that little chart. So find the total cost of a 1/3 page. Okay, so 1/3 page, and we're going to run it one time. So what's that cost us? $1,085, and we're going to do 2 colors.
Plus 5.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know what the euro symbol has to do. So we're going to add what?
1,085 plus 500.
Exactly right, for a grand total of $1,610. Okay with that? All right, down to letter C. The cost of a 20-second afternoon ad on a local radio station is $120 per ad. So think about that, $120 per 20 seconds, right? What will be the ad's total cost if it runs once a day for 10 weekdays?
Times 20 times 1,000.
1,200.
1,200. So you're going to take what?
Just do 120 times 10.
Yeah, the 20-second really doesn't do anything, right? Doesn't do anything for you in this particular case, okay? Letter D, a network charges $875,000 for a 30-second ad at a major sports event televised nationally. So this is probably, this isn't probably even the Super Bowl. This is maybe the national championship game or something, right? Because Super Bowl, they're probably talking millions of dollars, right? Okay, but again, and you gotta think about how kind of outdated this book is too. But think about that, right? For 30 seconds. But you think about, can you remember your favorite commercial from the Super Bowl this year?
Doritos.
What?
I like always is Doritos.
Doritos, okay. So how much money did Doritos generate from
Far
that?
too much.
Right?
The
You know-
NFL people that were.
I probably shouldn't say this, but you think about when I was in the beer business or the restaurant business. I don't know if you guys remember, but Budweiser had they had the horses, but they had the frogs. You remember the frogs? And there's 3 like bullfrogs in the like a swampy area, and the one guy said "bud," and the other guy said "wise," and then the last one was like. And so that stuck into everybody's mind for a long time, but it was this big old bullfrog, sitting there, and so,
Or dilly dilly.
yeah, so there's always something, right? And so, obviously, that doesn't just make you go out there, but you think about if we're thinking about it, just in this small little room, how many people are thinking about it, right? So yeah, 875,000, it's probably a minimum deal for those kind of companies, right? Now, 875,000 for some company that we don't know about or is just opening up, that's probably a big chance on their part, right? But it might be also, if they're right after that Doritos commercial or the Dilly Dilly commercial, boom, at least everybody was watching, and then we hit it. So maybe you had to pay a little extra for that spot, but it might be worth it, right? Yeah, roll the dice. Okay, so going back to this. So 875,000 for a 30-second. The advertisers must agree to purchase a minimum of 4 ads during the telecast. Okay? What is the advertiser's total cost of buying the minimum number of ads? So we're taking 4 times what? So the minimum for this was 3.5 mil.
That would have been Super Bowl.
Yeah, that probably was back in the day, right? But again, right, you think about Doritos or something big like that, they don't care about $3.5 million.
That's a lot of money.
You know?
A lot of bags of Doritos.
Wow.
That's a penny.
But you think about how many bags of Doritos at Fairway go out in one day.
Doritos are so, I always have to have a bag of Doritos in my house.
Every time I eat Doritos, I end up eating them playing Xbox.
You gotta have Doritos and Xbox.
Dude, I hate when I eat Doritos and Xbox because I always want more, and then I get the controller all I want to
It sucks me out of my controller. I just hate them with the
Gross.
You gotta wash your hands after.
All right, let's check out the reach. E and F. A direct mailer inserts 30 ads in an envelope and bulk mails them to 24,300 households in the city. Do you understand what that means? So there's like an actual envelope that comes with a bunch of coupons and sales and that kind of thing in it. The cost of each ad is $825. To the nearest tenth of a cent, what is the cost per household? So here's the first thing that I gotta ask. We're gonna take $825. When it says of the cost of each ad, you don't have to multiply it by the 30. It's just 825. So to me, they should have said it was $825 per envelope, basically. Okay? So we're gonna take that 825 and do what with it?
Divide by 24.
Yeah, divide by 24,000, right? And so we get what?
34 cents.
Now, be careful.
It's
I got
0.03 cents.
0.034 is not 34 cents, right? Right? So this is where they would probably go to that extra decimal place though to make sure. So they want to make sure that they're getting a little extra. So they're not just going to get the 3 cents. They're going to get the 4 cents. Even though that 4 is, not really a number in cents. But if you have a lot of them, then it'll generate that kind of money. Okay. Letter F.
Wait, how did we get it even?
You took 825.
Divided by.
24,300.
This is the cost it's costing you
Oh.
to reach these people, right?
Yes.
That's
So
like-
yes, they're saying that's what it costs per person. Yes. For us to send it to 24,000 people, it cost us 3 cents basically per person.
That's a lot.
So, not too bad of a deal, right? Letter F, furniture store spent $3,600 on a newspaper ad featuring a sale on leather sofas. In the next 2 days, 130 people who looked at the sofas said they saw the ad. What was the cost of the ad for each shopper who was attracted by the ad?
36 cents.
$28.
28 bucks. Exactly right. So it says, what was the cost of the ad for each shopper? So cost per shopper. So you gotta kind of just say it that way, and then when it says cost per, that's where you put your division sign. Right? So it costs us 3,600, but per 130. So is that worth it? It's $28 per person? Yeah.
How much is that sofa?
How many actually, yeah. How much is our sofas that they're looking at, and how many actually purchased one is probably the, right. Was it a sale, right? Or was it just kind of a, hey, we're having a sofa, we don't want to say sale, we're just,
Extravaganza.
yeah, an extravaganza, that's a good way of saying it.
You can do that.
Well, no, sorry, it does say featuring a sale. So, it is the sale because it's, you know, an old sofa, or is it a bad sofa, meaning it wasn't bad leather? Okay, so that might be something to think about too. All right? Any questions with any of that stuff?
You know the drill.
Johnny, make sure you put the right page down and you do the right numbers and page.
Can I just get that assignment in tomorrow?
Yes. And then notice up there, if you can't see it, tomorrow's a quiz.